Okay, so I love eggnog, and I pretty well always have, but anymore I don't really enjoy the store-bought stuff, and that's because a few years back I discovered Jeffrey Morgenthaler's homemade eggnog. And I actually like this stuff so much that every year after Thanksgiving, I'll make huge batches of it, bottle it up, and give it away to some of my favorite clients. Now, the whole reason I've stuck with this recipe year after year is because it's very, very easy, and I think it's the best eggnog I've ever had. Now, let me be clear up front, I have not tried that many eggnog recipes, because once I discovered Morgenthaler's, there was really no need to change. Until now. That is, until this year. And that's because I realized that he doesn't just have one eggnog recipe, but there's actually two floating around on the internet. The first one, the one that everybody knows about, is his brandy and spiced rum combination, which for eggnog is, well, kind of the perfect booze to use. Hey, that even rhymed. But this year I'm trying his other recipe, which uses aged tequila and dry sherry, which is not an obvious combination to me at all. I've actually never bought sherry before, and I love tequila, but I don't really think of eggnog as going with this flavor all that well. But we're gonna try it, and not only am I gonna try it, I'm gonna try both side by side and show you guys how to make them. Alright, so I'm going to start with the brandy and spiced rum recipe. Now, you can either measure all your ingredients by volume, either in metric or freedom units, or you can use a scale. Now, I know what you're all thinking. You're measuring different kinds of liquids which have different densities and don't all weigh the same for the same amount of volume, and you are correct, but do you know how much heavier a cup of milk or heavy cream is than a cup of water? 6.5 grams and 3 grams respectively. So I don't know about you, but I'm really not concerned about the discrepancy of a few grams here. But now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk eggs. If you have a sous vide cooker, you can pasteurize your eggs by cooking them at 135 degrees Fahrenheit for 75 minutes, which is what I did here. This will subtly affect the appearance and texture, which really isn't a problem here, but it makes them perfectly safe to eat raw, which I guess they really aren't anymore on a technical level, but yeah, they're basically still raw. See what I mean? If you look at these, they look weird, but definitely still look raw, which is what you want, like they've just barely started to cook. Now, we want to blend 2 of our weird-looking eggs with 75 grams of sugar. Jeffrey Morgenthaler calls for superfine baker sugar, which will dissolve much more quickly, but you can totally use regular sugar, like I am, and just blend everything a little bit longer. And while if you're measuring them by weight, you would use the identical amount of sugar either way, the volume difference between superfine and regular sugar is substantial, so keep that in mind. And despite what I said about the difference in weight between water and cream not mattering, here it's actually a big enough difference that it's really going to mess up your eggnog if you get it wrong. Add to your eggs and sugar 60 mils each of spiced rum and brandy. And once that's all combined, blend until the sugar is dissolved and the eggs are completely smooth. After that, add 120 mils heavy cream and 180 mils whole milk. Blend until combined and bottle it up. Now for the tequila version. I'm going to show you a slightly different assembly method because the taller measuring cup will allow me to effectively blend a smaller quantity. With the exception of the booze, which we'll get to shortly, all the ingredient amounts are the same as before. But this time I'm going to blend the egg and sugar together first, as this will more quickly and effectively break up the egg and guarantee that there are no stray chunks. Now the booze, 60 mils of añejo tequila and 90 mils of amontillado sherry. Since we already broke up the eggs, go in with your cream and milk right away. And then blend until the sugar is completely dissolved. Bottle it up and store both in the fridge until you're ready to serve, which I'm going to do right now, and then give you all some comparative tasting notes between the two recipes, which is kind of the reason we're here, you know. Pour the eggnog into a chilled coupe, top with fresh nutmeg, and you are ready to enjoy. Alright, well, it is time to give these things a taste and tell you which one is better, although I don't know if one of them is actually going to be better. I'm going to start with the one I'm most familiar with, which would be the brandy. Cheers. Oh wow, it's incredible. It's got this rich, creamy mouthfeel, but it's nothing like what you get from the store, those thickened commercial eggnogs. It's way thinner than that. But for me, this is just, it's incredible. The brandy and the rum don't really stick out. Like, you can definitely taste there's alcohol in there, but they blend together really well. I wouldn't know what was in it in particular. Maybe I'm just not that good of a taster, but they blend together so well. It just feels like one thing. You don't notice the egg, you don't notice the brandy or the rum. You just taste this incredible nog. There's all kinds of different baking spices in there, which that's coming from the rum and a little bit from the brandy. There's a little bit of kind of tannic oak flavor. It's very, very, very subtle. If you used a very heavily oaked cognac, it might come through even more. But to me, you don't really want to push that flavor too much. So this stuff, there's a reason why this is so well regarded in the cocktail community, because this stuff is freaking bomb. All right, the Clyde Common Eggnog. Cheers. Whoa, dang, totally different. Okay, so the mouthfeel is all there, but it does not have that strong baking spice presence from, well, obviously because it doesn't have the spiced rum, but instead there's like this walnut and almond flavor from, I think it's from the sherry, and that's kind of blending with this almost grassiness from the tequila, so it has just a completely different flavor palette, but it's still incredible. I wouldn't say it's like Christmas in a glass. This is more like, well, honestly, this is more like Thanksgiving in a glass. It's, you know, it's not walnut and almond, it's almost like just pecan. It's like candied pecan. Pecan? How do you guys say it? Tell me in the comments. I gotta go in for another sip. Man, that is a tough choice. You know, I have to pick which one I think is better, so let me get another taste of this. All right, well, I think I like this one better because it's boozier. So they both have the same amount of sugar in them, but this one seems a little boozier and this one seems a little bit sweeter. Obviously, this is gonna change depending upon which brands you're using, but with the combinations that I have, this is a little bit boozier, a little bit harsher, a little bit more like a cocktail. This is a lot sweeter and softer. I think if I want to have eggnog and I don't really want that Christmas in a glass kind of feel, this is what I would go for. But let's be honest, the tradition in America surrounding eggnog has kind of become, you drink it around Christmas time. Even though it totally used to be a late summer harvest drink when you would have tons of cream and eggs and sugar was readily available because the roads were not all snowed in, you know, that's when people used to drink eggnog. Now it's just kind of a Christmas thing. And so to me, this is perfect for Christmas. But if I was gonna have eggnog at other times in the year, especially in the summer, I might go for this because it doesn't have that like baking spices. It's not pumpkin spice, but like that kind of mixed spice combination that we've come to associate with Christmas. It's not here. So links to Jeffrey Morgenthaler's website and both of these recipes are in the video description. And if you give them a try, let me know what you think. Until next time, cheers.